Hello everyone. Welcome to today's story. What would you do if the person you love suddenly vanished into the rain, leaving behind only fragments of memory about you? And what if you discovered she was gravely ill, unable to walk far, and yet had been taken by people who wanted to use her as a pawn against you? Tonight, you'll follow Alex's desperate search through dark streets, hidden alleys, and even a dangerous rescue to bring Tuna back. But will saving her from the kidnappers be enough when her fading memory can no longer hold on to his face? Stay with me until the end of this video to see how far Alex is willing to go. And if you want to hear more stories like this, hit the follow button. Help us reach 10,000 followers and keep these stories alive. The night rain stretched across the town like a gray curtain, swallowing every street into its haze. Alex moved quickly along the road, the dim yellow lights reflecting on puddles beneath his feet, each step splashing icy water up his legs. He had passed the crossroads, the bus station, even the narrow alleys Tuna once visited. But everything was empty. In his mind, her image lingered. Tuna with slightly tousled hair and eyes that once carried a quiet strength. Now, illness had dimmed them. The disease had slowly stolen her ability to walk, and her memory was fragile, fading like raindrops sliding down a fogged window. Alex feared not only that she was lost, but that she might no longer remember the way back, or even remember him. The wind pressed against him, carrying the scent of wet earth and the sharp chill of rain, seeping into every breath. He wondered if turning back to the farm now might give him a chance to see her return, or if it would mean losing her forever. But he kept moving. The unease inside him felt like a needle lodged deep in his chest, urging him forward. No matter how late it grew, no matter how heavy the rain fell, he had to keep searching. Water streamed off rooftops in silver lines, catching the faint light before vanishing into the darkness. Alex clenched his fists and whispered to himself, "As long as I can breathe, I won't stop." Somewhere out there, beneath this same relentless rain, Tuna might be standing alone, shivering, waiting for someone to find her. Through the curtain of rain, Alex's phone vibrated in his pocket. The sharp ring cut through the muffled roar of water on asphalt. He pulled it out with cold, wet fingers. Johnny's name glowed on the screen. Alex. Johnny's voice was tense, nearly drowned by static. "Tuna saw the test results. She left." The words sank into Alex like ice. For a moment, the street around him blurred. Rain and shadows merged into one. He didn't speak, just listened to the rain pounding in his ears. Johnny explained how Tuna had found the paper he had meant to keep hidden, how she had slipped away without saying goodbye. The result wasn't what she feared, but perhaps her fragile state made it harder for her to understand. Alex knew her illness clouded her mind. Memories came and went like fleeting dreams. The rain intensified, heavy drops striking his face like tiny blows. "Where would she go?" Alex murmured, half to himself. "I don't know," Johnny admitted. "I've searched near the farm, in town. Nothing." They decided to split up. Johnny would cover the outskirts, while Alex took the main roads and the old paths Tuna used to walk. Still, an unease gnawed at him. This didn't feel like a simple misunderstanding anymore. As he slipped the phone back into his pocket, Alex's mind was already racing ahead. Something about her sudden disappearance felt wrong, too abrupt, too calculated. And in the dark corners of his thoughts, a fear began to take shape. One that had nothing to do with the rain, but with the shadow of danger he had sensed for days. The rain had slowed to a cold drizzle by the time Alex reached the edge of town. A dim streetlight flickered overhead, casting fractured shadows across the wet pavement. That's when he saw it. An unfamiliar van parked where it didn't belong, engine still warm, tire marks fresh in the mud. A knot tightened in his chest. He followed the tracks around the corner, moving with cautious steps until muffled voices reached him. Through the half-open door of an abandoned warehouse, he caught a glimpse of her. Tuna, sitting on the damp floor, her arms wrapped around her knees. Two men loomed nearby, their voices low but edged with impatience. Alex's breath slowed, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. He had known this might happen. Ever since his dispute with that powerful corporation, he'd sensed the invisible net tightening. They wanted leverage. And Tuna, already weak and struggling with fading memories, had become the easiest target. The realization burned through him. This wasn't just about finding her anymore. It was about saving her life. He stepped back into the shadows, scanning the area. No obvious weapons, no easy exit. The odds weren't in his favor, but retreat was never an option. Rain dripped from his hair into his eyes as he clenched his fists and made his move. The next minutes blurred into a rush of movement, a scuffle, a sharp cry, the metallic clang of something hitting the ground. Then her hand was in his, cold, trembling but alive. Alex? Her voice was unsure, the name tasting strange on her tongue. Yes, it's me, he whispered, pulling her into the night. I'm taking you home. The rain returned in a hard, relentless sheet, drumming on the corrugated roof as Alex guided Tuna through the narrow back exit. Her steps were unsteady, each one slowed by the weakness in her legs. He kept his arm around her, feeling the frailty in her frame, the uneven rhythm of her breathing. Behind them, muffled shouts erupted. The kidnappers had realized she was gone. Alex quickened his pace, leading her into the labyrinth of wet alleyways. The air was thick with the scent of rust and rain-soaked concrete, every shadow a threat. They ducked behind an abandoned cart, both panting. Tuna's gaze drifted, unfocused. I know you, don't I? She asked, her voice trembling as if the answer might hurt. It's me, Alex said softly, forcing steadiness into his tone. You're safe now. But they weren't safe yet. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed closer, boots splashing through puddles. Alex scanned the alley, spotting a narrow gap between two crumbling walls. He tightened his grip on her hand. Come on. They slipped through, emerging into the dim glow of a streetlight. A taxi idled across the road. Luck or fate, Alex didn't care. He hurried her inside, giving the driver an address far from the warehouse. As the car pulled away, Alex kept his arm protectively around her. The city lights slid across her pale face, catching on the confusion in her eyes. She leaned against him, as if seeking warmth, though her mind still seemed adrift. Outside, the rain blurred the world into streaks of silver. Inside, Alex felt the truth settle in his chest. He had her back, but the fight to truly bring her home had only just begun. Morning came muted and gray, the air still damp with last night's rain. Alex had left Tuna in a safe place, but her restlessness had returned. By the time he came back, she was gone again, slipping away into the city streets with the quiet determination of someone searching for something they couldn't quite name. Tuna walked slowly, cradling her child against her chest. The world around her felt unfamiliar, as though she had stepped into a dream where every face was a stranger's. She stopped at a small restaurant, asking softly if they needed help washing dishes. The owner's eyes lingered on the baby, then shook his head. "It's too hard with a child." She nodded without protest and moved on. Every rejection was met with the same gentle acceptance, though inside her chest, an ache deepened. Between the hum of traffic and the murmur of passing voices, a name would sometimes surface, Alex, but it came without a face, without a story she could hold on to. The afternoon rain returned, light at first, then steady. Tuna found shelter in the shell of an abandoned factory. She spread her coat on the ground for the child, sitting close to shield him from the drafts seeping through broken windows. Her thoughts drifted like the dust in the air, fragments of memories flickering and fading. Laughter by a quiet stream, the smell of ripe fruit, a pair of hands reaching for hers in the dark. She pressed a hand to her temple, as if she could hold the pieces together. But the harder she tried, the quicker they dissolved, leaving only a sense of something precious she couldn't name. The rain thickened, drumming against the fractured glass panes above. Tuna shifted closer to her child, pulling him into the circle of her arms. She thought they were alone until a shadow moved across the doorway. A man stood there, his figure blurred by the rain outside. "Miss," he called gently, "it's not safe here." She hesitated, holding her child tighter. "Who are you?" "Just someone passing by," he said, stepping inside. His clothes were damp, and there was a cautious kindness in his eyes. "I know someone nearby, a good person living alone. They have space. You can stay there tonight." Tuna lowered her gaze. Trust was a fragile thing when your mind was already uncertain. "I don't want to trouble anyone. My child, he cries at night." The man shook his head. "That won't matter. It's better than this place. There are insects here and the cold. You shouldn't risk it." A drop of water traced its way down from the ceiling, landing on her sleeve. She glanced at her son, his cheeks flushed from the damp chill, and her resistance began to falter. "Please," the man added, "it's not far. I'll carry your basket." Tuna studied him for a long moment, searching for any trace of threat. There was only sincerity. With a slow nod, she rose, letting him take the weight from her hands. They stepped into the rain together, the man opening an umbrella over her and the child. The world beyond the factory was dark and wet, but in the small circle beneath the umbrella, there was a fragile sense of safety. By the time Alex stumbled back to the farm, his clothes were heavy with rain, his body burning with fever. Each step felt like dragging through water, but the thought of Tuna, out there somewhere, fragile and uncertain, kept him moving until he reached the porch. His sister met him at the door, eyes widening at his pale face. "You're soaked," she said, guiding him inside. He tried to speak, to tell her he had no time to rest, but the warmth of the room and the weight in his limbs pushed him into a chair. She brought him soup, her voice soft yet edged with concern. In his haze, he called out Tuna's name, the syllables breaking apart as if pulled from a dream. His sister paused, a shadow crossing her expression. Perhaps she too carried her own share of guilt. Alex lay back, listening to the rain beat against the roof. Johnny had promised to meet him at dawn. They would go to the police, widen the search. Even now, Alex's mind was mapping the places she might wander. Quiet alleys, forgotten buildings, the paths they once walked together. His fever blurred the edges of the room, but not his resolve. She may not remember me now, he thought, but I will find her. I will be the one to bring her back. Outside, the storm softened into a steady drizzle, as if the night itself was pausing to take a breath. Alex closed his eyes, gathering what strength he could. Morning was coming, and with it, another chance to follow the fragile thread that still tied them together. And that's where today's story leaves us. Alex, fevered but unyielding, holding on to the fragile hope of finding Tuna again. He's already risked his life to rescue her once. But will love be enough to fight against fading memories and the shadows still chasing them? What would you do if the person you love no longer remembered who you were? If you've stayed with me until now, thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow the channel. Help us reach 10,000 followers, so you won't miss the next chapter of Alex and Tuna's journey. Because sometimes, the hardest battles are the ones we fight in silence.